Summer. Vacations are planned, fun in the sun and the sand, beaches, barbecues, chips, sips, and grilling tips. And for many, school is out. But there's one school in particular that ramps up in the summer: Vacation Bible School. Affectionately known as VBS, people, especially kids of various ages, come together to learn more about the Bible in various ways through lessons, games, arts and crafts, icebreakers, music, skits. All of it is geared towards spiritual enrichment, soul growth, community connection, and the opportunity to help expand and extend the kingdom and the truth that of the increase of Christ's government and peace, there shall be no end. And we do this via the outreach, the neighborly engagement, and the relationship building component attached to this vehicle of VBS. And I happen to know a few kids that are on vacation, love to hear their papa sing and speak about the Bible, and don't mind learning a little something about the love of Jesus. My grandbabies. So, let's get educated, y'all. This is Vacation Bible School, PreacherThink edition. Well, what's going on, PreacherThink family, and welcome to PreacherThink, where I take thoughts downloaded from God and His Word and upload them to you via the lens of grace and kingdom. PreacherThink is brought to you by Excellence Media, a multimedia creative studio located here in beautiful southeastern North Carolina. Shout out to my man, Josh Walker, and those guys over at the studio doing some lovely, beautiful things. I am the creator and the host of PreacherThink, Chad Joyner, and I'm excited to hop into what we're going to talk about today with, once again, my beautiful co-host. But this is the thought that we're going to jump off from. Jeans and t-shirts are my quote-unquote church clothes. Jeans and a t-shirt is my church clothes. Here's what you need to know. Well, first and foremost, I've got to correct something from last week. My beautiful baby's Aubrey, she is 8, about to be 9 this fall, but my beautiful granddaughter Aviana, I said that she was 5. She is actually 6, and she will be 7 in the fall. She made sure she called Papa out on that so I could get that straight. So with that bit of business being taken care of, here's what you need to know from the thought that we're jumping off from this week, what we're talking about. We are talking to folks who are focused on outerwear instead of our heart wear, outer appearances rather than how inwardly our heart is clothed. Because please don't say what I'm not saying. I'm not saying it doesn't matter what you wear. Obviously, Paul talks with Timothy in the New Covenant about modesty in church clothing and dress and all of that kind of good stuff. But more than that being the thing of importance, more of your outerwear being important is your outer appearance being important is the heart wear, the clothing that you have on your heart, the heart of the Father, the righteousness, peace, and joy that you carry in your heart. Because more than what your outer appearance shows is what your inner heart of the Father knows and truly shows about you. What are we really talking about here then? We're talking about matters of the heart, not of the hype of keeping up with outside appearances. Why? Because when we focus on the heart, just like the disclaimer on the side view mirrors on cars say, we might just find out that objects, i.e. people, you and I, in the mirror are closer than they appear. Closer to what? Closer to righteousness, peace, and joy, and holiness, and all of that good stuff. That can't always be properly assessed from outer appearances. And even better, we're more than close to those things with Christ. We're in those things in Christ because we live in Him and He lives in us. So get ready, turn in your Bibles to 1 Samuel chapter 16, and we're going to look at verse 7. And here's why I want to go there, because the book of Samuel, it was written by an author that is actually unknown. And the date somewhere between like 1120 to 1020 BC, and it was written to the nation of Israel with the purpose of showing that Israel had transitioned from what it was, just a people roaming about, into a kingdom. In 1 Samuel 15, the current king Saul did what? He had disobeyed God. And in this chapter, with the well-known verse from Samuel, is where he states that obedience is better than sacrifice. Now, we as believers don't have to worry about that breach on this side of the cross, because Jesus is not only our sacrifice, but 2 Corinthians 10:5 encourages us to take every thought captive and submit them to the obedience of Christ, because Christ's obedience is perfect obedience. And Christ and the believer are one. You can't tell where Christ ends and where we begin. So we either submit our thoughts to perfection, i.e. to Jesus, from the outset in our initial thought process, or we trust the grace of Christ to redeem our thoughts and actions when we misalign in imperfection to be perfected. But that's another teaching for another time. So let me go on and talk about what happens in this story. God rejects Saul. He related to him via the covenant he was under, the law code where you must follow all the rules perfectly or suffer the consequences. It's the whole do good, do bad, get beat scenario. Thank God we don't live under that covenant anymore. Thank God that we live under the covenant of grace, and God relates to us not via rules on rocks, but via the rock of our salvation known as Jesus. Long story short, Israel needed a new king, so God had a family of boys in mind. Jesse's clan, right? Samuel, after weeping over the rejection of Saul, was instructed to arise, to fill his horn with oil, and go anoint one of Jesse's sons to be the new king, the one God would show him. Now, Jesse had a host of sons, all of them tall, dark, and handsome, and had the outer appearance of what a king would look like. But the Lord didn't want to go that route again, given what had happened with Saul, another guy who was tall, dark, and handsome. But remember, he disobeyed God. So Samuel was told to probe Jesse a little bit further about one son that was not invited to this party where there was a sacrifice, consecration and sacrifice, a party of sorts that he wasn't invited to. So God tells Samuel to probe Jesse a little bit further about this one son that wasn't invited to the party. David, the shepherd boy that was left attending sheep out in the pasture. So Jesse sent for him, and unlike when the other sons marched before Samuel and no word was given, God gave the word to Samuel that David was the one to be anointed the next king. In Samuel 16:7, God says these words to Samuel. He says, "But the Lord said to Samuel," listen to this, "do not consider the appearance of his height, for I have rejected him." Rejected who? Rejected that earlier son that first walks in, Abinadab and all those guys. He said, don't look at their outward appearance. I have rejected them. He says, the Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. And that is why when David walked in front of Samuel, God said, that's the one, because we know that scripture goes on to say that David was a man after God's own heart. He was already carrying the heart of the Father. Now, how does this how does this bring or add value or richness to our lives? Simply put, listen to this. You can be attending sheep in the pasture, but that doesn't halt God's plans to anoint you for the palace. I'm going to say that one more time. You can be herding sheep and attending sheep in the pasture, but that does not stop, halt, or any of God's plans to anoint you for the palace. And he has. That's what you need to know. Every last one of us have been anointed for the palace. Some of us just don't know it yet because others keep doing what? They keep judging us via our outside appearance, but God is looking at our heart. He knows we, like David, carry the heart of the Father and are men and women with a desire to follow after that heart, no matter what our outer appearance looks like to others. But don't take my word for it. Let's see what the kids have to say about it. Well, here we are again, y'all. I am back with my beautiful two granddaughters, two of my four grandchildren, of course, my son Elijah. And man, these girls have gotten some stuff from Mimi and Papa that Papa didn't even know that we got on, but Mimi got. They have got some apparel that they want to show off. So, Avi, tell us about your beautiful purple wings. First of all, let me say this. Hold your wings up in the air. Hold them up. You have got this amazing dress on. You look like a princess. I love it. Tell me about, and I know you love to wear wings like a princess anyway. These wings are a little bit different. So tell us loudly, as much as you can, use your voice and tell us about your wings, hon. What color are they?
Purple.
Purple, and, I see, what else? What other color?
Like a crystal.
Yeah, like a crystal. What else?
And black.
And black. They're purple and black. Now, are the edges, are they rough or are they smooth?
They're rough.
They're kind of rough. Wow, that's crazy. Now, what else would you say about these wings? Do you like these wings?
Yes.
You do? Can you wear these wings to church?
No.
What? Why not?
Because you might touch people with them.
You might touch people with them. That's okay. But what if you touch people with them and they love them too? Then could you wear them to church?
Maybe.
Maybe. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, Abby. We appreciate that. Aubrey, my other beautiful granddaughter. Look at these. Everybody, look at the wings. So tell us about your wings in your own words. What colors do we have here?
Okay, so they're like it's like a reddish, like a volcano kind of. It's like red, and I think this is like fire crystals and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And it's like a dragon. Wing.
Wings. Dragon wings.
And my favorite color is red, so I really like these wings. They're really cool.
So you got these cool wings. They're like dragon wings. They're red, which is your favorite color.
Yeah.
And okay, that's obviously that's cool. I love that. Now, these girls got these wings, but of course I got my boy here. I got the teenage kid living in the house with me, and there's this trend going on now with teenagers that in the middle of the summer, and I love that you did this, are wearing shorts and like a sweatshirt. Tell us about the attire that you got. Tell us a little bit about like the trend behind why teenagers are like wearing like sweatshirts these days. Because, and I'm gonna ask you, this is why I'm asking you this, Elijah, because I did some research and I actually saw where a lot of teenagers are saying it's for psychological reasons, because sweatshirts can offer a certain amount of perceived protection. Because you're a teenager. You're going through those weird, awkward years where your body's changing and you don't necessarily want people looking at you in a certain way, especially maybe if you're a female and stuff like that. Obviously, it can add added comfort if you're in a building that's got a lot of air conditioning and maybe it gets cold, which that happens a lot these days, especially when we go to church. Sometimes it's extremely cold in there. So even though it's the summertime, it's really cold inside of the building. You could be making a fashion statement. I mean, it's just one of those things. So tell me a little bit about like your own thoughts around, since we talked about this apparel, these clothes that these girls have. Tell us about like what you have on. Tell us a little bit about like your mindset around what teenage boys and girls are doing with this idea of the apparel of wearing like sweatshirts in the summertime.
My idea for it is way more simpler than that. I just wear it if I can't find a good shirt, which is in stick out.
I love it. It's like just grab a sweatshirt and throw that on. That's what I'm talking about.
Most of my sweatshirts are all black, so
okay, I understand that.
I wouldn't bring this to church because it might be like if I put it somewhere, if I like put it somewhere instead of wearing it, and if I put it somewhere and I probably need to go to the bathroom or something, I put it somewhere and maybe some kids will like steal it or something.
I don't think the kids would steal it.
I think they would steal it.
You know what? You might be right because your wings are cool. So, but look, check this out. what if I said that these are church clothes and it's completely okay? Because what if I told you that God looks at not the outer appearance, not what you have on, but what if I told you God looks at your heart? He cares about what's in your heart. What is that? How does that make you change your thought process around, hey, I could wear this to church? Because if I think that it's cool and God looks at my heart and God put the sense inside of me that my wings are cool, then that my sweatshirt is cool, even though it's the middle of the summer, isn't it more important about what God thinks about my heart rather than what people think about my outer clothing?
Yes, because if people made fun of me or just about some wings, like if I like went to church and like kids made fun of me, I wouldn't care. I would just ignore them or maybe tell the church teacher, and I won't look at them because I don't know. They probably don't even have wings, so and they maybe be jealous. That's why they're being like mean and stuff.
Baby girl, you just said something. I don't even know if you know what you just said. You just said they might be jealous because they don't even have wings. What if I told you that by people bullying other people and showing and being jealous towards them, we're all like birds and they're clipping their own wings like they don't even have them by talking about you, because that says more about them than it does about you. That's amazing. I love that. Great job. So how does that make you feel, Avi, to say, hey, these are my church clothes. I can wear this because if I want to wear wings and I like wings, those are cool. Like, and what, again, God looks at your heart, not your wing, not what you wear to church. Like, what does that mean to you, hon?
I don't know.
You don't know? Of course you do. What about this? What if it means that God really, really, really loves you so much that he's like, hey, it doesn't matter about you wearing your wings to church. If you love it, I love it. What if God told you that? You'd be happy? That's amazing. I love that. Why do you think it's important, Elijah, that God doesn't look at our apparel? He looks at what I like to call our heart clothing. He looks at the way our heart is clothed. If our heart is clothed in bullying and jealousy and anger, that sounds like the signal of a bad heart. But if we're operating with the heart that God gave us, the heart of the Father, the heart that has and gives out love and light and life, the heart of Jesus, then like, why is it so important to understand that it's about that heart, not about what the clothes that I have on my body?
Well, because if you love your outfit with your heart, then you shouldn't care about what other people say about your outside apparel than what you feel on the inside about your outside apparel.
Yeah, and about yourself. I mean, because, think about it like this. What if somebody said like these wings or whatever, right? What if somebody came in with like holy jeans and like a messed up shirt? But what if that's the best clothes that they had? Wouldn't it be bad for, people at church that are called to love everybody and shine the light of Jesus and show the life of Jesus? Wouldn't it be bad for them to talk about people if that's the best clothes that they have? Right? It wouldn't be.
It wouldn't be okay because maybe their family don't have enough money to buy them good clothes, but that's the only clothes they have because they probably don't even have money. But you shouldn't make fun of people.
There you go.
You should not make fun of people.
Yeah, because again, it's about what, babe? It's about the heart. It's about the heart. It's not about what kind of clothes that you have on.
Yeah, it doesn't matter about your clothes. It's just you just should be nice to people. You shouldn't be mean to people.
Yeah, I love that. Well, look, I got another story I want to read from the Bible. Is it okay if I read another story to you guys? Yeah, from the Bible. I got a story that talks about that. In 1 Samuel chapter 16, there's this guy, and his name is Samuel. And there's a king, and his name is Saul. And, God at this point was like mad at Saul because he wasn't doing things the way God wanted him to do it, right? So Samuel was the prophet. That means he's the guy who kind of goes around and he senses what God is saying about who's like the next in line to help lead people. And because of that, God tells him to go and look for somebody who's supposed to be the next king. And he says something really, really, really important to this guy. This is how the story goes. It says, the Lord said to Samuel, how long will you mourn for Saul since I have rejected him as king over Israel? Fill your horn with oil and be on your way. I am sending you to Jesse of Bethlehem. I have chosen one of his sons to be king. But Samuel said, how can I go? If Saul hears about it, he will kill me. The Lord said, take a heifer with you and say, I have come to sacrifice to the Lord. Invite Jesse to the sacrifice and I will show you what to do. You are to anoint for me the one I indicate. Samuel did what the Lord said. When he arrived at Bethlehem, the elders of the town trembled. When they met him, they asked, do you come in peace? Samuel replied, yes, in peace. I have come to sacrifice to the Lord. Consecrate yourselves and come to the sacrifice with me. Then he consecrated Jesse and his sons and invited them to the sacrifice. When they arrived, Samuel watched this. He saw a guy named Eliab. And he thought, surely the Lord's anointed stands before the Lord. But the Lord said to Samuel, do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. Then Jesse called Abinadab and had him pass in front of Samuel. But Samuel said, the Lord has not chosen this one either. Jesse then had Shammah pass by, but Samuel said, nor has the Lord chosen this one. Jesse had, 7 sons pass before Samuel, but Samuel said to him, the Lord has not chosen these guys. So he asked Jesse, are there any more sons that you have? There is still the youngest, Jesse answered. He's tending the sheep. Samuel says, send for him, and we will not sit down until he arrives. So he sent for him and had him brought in. He was glowing with health and had a fine appearance and handsome features. Then the Lord said, rise and anoint, this is the one. So Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the presence of his brothers. And from that day on, the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon David. Samuel went to Ramah. Now, a couple of verses back, when Samuel saw that, this really good looking first son walks in, he was like, surely this is the guy that, the Lord's anointed. But the Lord said to Samuel, remember this. He says, don't consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. So, there was these 7 guys that could have easily been the next king, right? And Samuel sees these guys. And man, they got great stature. They're tall, they're dark, they're handsome. They look like they could be kings. But God says, no, it's not any of those guys. It's not the people that you presume could be king. There's somebody that's at Jesse's house, this guy named David. That's going to be the one. But he doesn't look like a king. He doesn't have the outward appearance of a king. But God said anoint him anyway. Because God doesn't look at the outward appearance. He doesn't look at how tall you are, what your skin color looks like. He doesn't look at whether, you're attractive to people or not. He looks at your heart. And if you've got a heart for him, if you've got the heart of the Father, you've got the heart of Jesus, the heart of love and light and life on the inside of you, that's all that you need for God to use you mightily and for you to do the things, the good works that God's prepared for you in advance. So when you guys hear that, how does that make you feel? How does it make you feel that God is looking at your heart and not the kind of clothes that you wear? God looks at your heart and he's not looking at how you have your hair done. God looks at your heart, but he's not looking at your skin color. God looks at your heart, but he's not looking how small you are because you might be tiny, but you're mighty, right? How do you think about that, Aubrey?
I think that like I'm talking about the story, like in the story that God said that the person got 7 people, and that person says that one of those should be the king because of their clothes, they're tall and they're like handsome, but God says there's a other God that should be king because God looks in his heart. So and you just shouldn't make fun of people how they look and stuff. It's about like how it's about what kind of person you are. Like if you're like nice, like really kind and nice and like true, and like don't lie and stuff, like that's like a good person. But you never know if one of those 7 people will like mean and yeah.
That's a great point. That's right. So Elijah, what do you think about that? Like when you hear that, man, like you're a teenager now, you know what I'm saying? Like you have the opportunity to think, and you've dealt with like, you know what it's like to deal with people that, oh man, you feel like maybe they got chosen because of how they look or their size or their status or something like that. That's what people does. But isn't it like a whole lot more comforting to know that like, man, God chooses because of what type of heart you have. God chooses people based on, and here's the thing. Nobody's disqualified from this heart. This heart of God is available to everybody. This heart of love and light and life is available to everybody. That's the heart of the Father. But isn't it good to know, like, man, I'm so glad that no matter what I wear, no matter how much people tell me I need to cut my hair because it's long, right? No matter how much people like talk about maybe what I look like on the outside, my audience of one is looking at my heart clothing, not my body clothing. Talk about that for me. Like how does that make you feel? Like, isn't it good to know that?
Like people could make fun or be jealous of how you look depending on how you look. But it's not about how people look on the outside, it's about how they look on the inside, because maybe somebody could be like really tall, but they're not that great at basketball. But people think they're good at basketball because they're tall, but they maybe are better at football than they are at basketball. But people don't know that because they don't know how they are on the inside. Yeah, man,
Bo, that's a word right there, because right at the end of the day, how many times have you and I talked about that? Like you obviously you can't teach size. A lot of that comes from genetic. But man, the thing that a lot of people fail to measure so often is what? The heart. Man, you can't measure a person's heart, and if they got a heart behind something, man, they can really get like my Abby right here. You got a heart to be a princess, don't you, honey?
Yeah.
So if you've got a heart to be a princess, then nobody else can tell you that you're not a princess, can they? No, they sure can't. They can't tell you that, because in your heart, you're a princess. And guess what? Let me tell you something. You are a princess. And what are you in your heart?
A really good soccer player.
And guess what you are to God? If you can imagine that in your heart, you're a really good soccer player in your heart. And what are you in your heart?
A basketball player.
You're a basketball player. And if you believe that, that means that God put it on the inside of you by his heart. You're in your imagination because of his heart in you, so you can be a really good basketball player. And none of that matters about what you're wearing. Now, look, guys, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be, like if we go somewhere like church or something like that, I'm not saying that we shouldn't wear clothes that are modest or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That obviously you shouldn't maybe show up to church naked or anything like that. But hey, but what I am saying is, again, the emphasis is never on what you're wearing or not wearing. It's always on the heart. All right? Good. Love it.
Want to share the good news? You can support PreacherThink by sharing it with everyone using the share button. You can stay connected to PreacherThink via Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and various podcast streaming platforms. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about what the gospel has done for you, message us or leave them in the comment section. You can also email us at preacherthink@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in.